Now, the recession is hitting hard, and for some, counselling is one way of dealing with the stress. Please welcome North Shore counsellor Shelley Anderson. Shelley, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Are you noticing, I guess, a difference now with the recession, that you're getting more people coming to visit you guys?
Well, I think that financial hardship isn't a new thing. I think we've been working with it for a long time. I think it affects a lot of families in New Zealand. However, there is a new group of people starting to present for counselling, yes.
So do you approach the situation differently to the people that you've dealt with in the past?
No.
No?
No.
How long have you been counselling for?
10 years now.
So what are some of the, I guess, the common questions that people come in and talk to you about or ask you guys?
There'll be a whole raft of presenting issues for people, from depression, anxiety, family relationships, couple relationships, behavioural issues with children. So a whole raft.
I think some of the biggest struggles with people are actually picking up the phone and coming and talking, making that first.
Yes.
Do you find that's the hardest thing? And
I think
how do you connect with those people? Because there may be some people now that are watching and they are having these problems or issues.
I think making that first call can be difficult for people, but once they've done it, that's the first step in the process. We counsellors don't answer the phone at our service. We have administrators that take those first calls, and really important, that first interaction for people, and we have very professional administrators who do a wonderful job of that, making people feel at ease when making that first call.
We talk about the recession, we talk about counselling, but counselling costs money. And you know, a lot of people don't have a lot of money. Are there ways that they can get government funding for counselling?
Sure. Well, Home and Family is a not-for-profit service, so we're donation-based, so it is affordable for everybody. You can negotiate that with your counsellor around what you can afford. Also, work and income have a disability allowance that people may be eligible for, whether they're beneficiaries or not. If they're on a low income, they may be eligible for that.
Are they told about these things?
Possibly not, but that's where we can help them.
Right, so they can get all that information by ringing up and finding out.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, I guess, some of the benefits in your role. The people have come for their first session with you. What do you actually tell them, or how do you help them?
Well, I think it's helping people to identify their own strengths and coping mechanisms, because people do have them, and sometimes when they get immersed in the problem, they lose sight of that. So I think sometimes it's about bringing those stories, the stories of resilience, forward for them. It's almost like setting the foundation or setting the scene for the work, building relationship with them in that first session, and getting really clear about what are their concerns and how we might work together with those concerns, like who might be involved in the counselling. Yeah,
because I think of it now, I've had friends that they're losing their jobs. How do you approach a person that's, they've lost their job and, that's been their sole focus for such a long time, and now they have nothing? Because that can actually change the dynamic in the family if they're the breadwinner.
Absolutely. And therein lies the problem when you said they have nothing. They have so much. They have a family to start with.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just reconnecting them with those values that they have. And there is still work out there.
Yeah.
And so it may be retraining, it may be looking at other options. And I guess it's just getting them back in touch with what else they have available to them.
So do the counsellors, do you approach employers? Do you have people that sort of you can go to and say, well, actually you can use this resource here? Do you have resources around the counselling as well?
Yes, we do. We might tap people into other services that can support them, whether it's budgeting service or community alcohol and drug service. There are other services and groups that are run in communities that may be of use to them. And I think EAP is a scheme that employers are able to provide so many sessions of free counselling for staff, and that might be really useful, particularly around redundancies. Yeah,
it's interesting because we always talk about the person that's being laid off, but what about their employer? I've got a classic example. My brother-in-law has a business which he's had for 7-8 years, and these people have been with him for such a long time. He's had to go and tell them now. Lay people off because he just can't keep them on. He can't afford it. So he's trying to deal with that and struggling with that right now. In that situation, if someone was to come and see you, what advice would you give them? For the people that are... For the guy that's laying off the,
well, I guess it's about really supporting them to know that they didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And how else might they be able to support the people that they've had to make redundant? And I guess you don't think about them as being affected, but actually they are. So for some people that has a really big effect on them. and their sense of self.
If there is an issue that lies, like I said, if one of the family members does lose his job and it affects the family, do you bring the family in the whole as part of the counselling?
It depends on what the family is struggling with. Often it might involve the couple coming in together.
Yeah.
Because if it's starting to affect their relationship, then the work is with the couple and their relationship. So yes, it just depends, and each situation will be different, who's involved with the counselling. And we may suggest as counsellors who we think needs to come along.
Right.
And often people come on their own and don't realise, and involving everybody can be really useful. Yeah.
Shelley, I know you're based in Auckland. If people want to contact your services or any of the other services around the country, what do they need to do?
Well, I think Home and Family has a website that people can go on, www.homeandfamily.org.nz, and also citizens advice bureaus are in every community, and they will guide people where best to go.
How much counselling do people need to have, or what's a recommended time, or does it just depend on the situation?
It depends on the situation. I think from our statistics, 6 to 8 sessions is the average.
And you sort of pretty much work through everything.
But of course it can be much longer term than that, depending on what you're working with.
Right. Well, Shelley, great advice. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm sure a lot of people out there that are watching the show will, will look into that. And there are services available for people to get counselling if they can afford it and if they know where to go.
Yep. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.